Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün New York'un en prestijli üniversitelerinden Clarkson University'de master eğitimi ve başvuru şartlarını Colin'den dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Colin, the stage is yours now.
That's wonderful, and I'm grateful for everyone who's logged in to meet with me and hear more about graduate study at Clarkson University. So I'm going to be happy to take your questions, and that means that I'm going to dive right in right now. So I am representing Clarkson University, as I said, and my name is Colleen Tapalia. As you can tell, that photo is a pre-COVID photo. My hair has grown tremendously during these long months. I'm the Senior Director of Graduate Recruitment and Enrollment Marketing at Clarkson, and I am specifically involved in the recruitment of international students, which is another reason I'm so happy to be with you here today. I have a tendency to speak quickly when I am presenting, so if there's anything you need me to repeat or want me to go a little more slowly, please just put a note in one of the chat boxes or the question box, and I will try to accommodate everyone's needs. I understand you're listening to me in a language that's not your first language, and I'm very grateful. To tell you a little bit about Clarkson University, I wanted to show you this map, which is New York State in the orange, and you can see the surrounding states, and to the north, you can see Canada. So Clarkson University is located in the northern part of New York State in a town called Potsdam, New York, which is, as you can see, much closer to our neighbors in Canada than it is to the more famous city of New York City. One of the great advantages of being in a place like Potsdam is that it's a small town feel where you get to know people, and also the cost of living is much lower than in New York City. Sometimes when people hear New York, they have in their mind that vision of our famous New York skyline in New York City, and they envision being in a busy urban area, whereas Clarkson is actually in a much more rural area. So for today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about programs of study at the postgraduate level at Clarkson. I'm going to focus on two of our most popular programs for international students, but if you have questions about any of the other programs we offer, of course, I'll welcome those at the end. I will talk about the requirements for admission, our application process, some information about funding your studies, a bit about visas and documentation, and then just an idea about the timeline for planning all of this. So among the more popular programs of study at Clarkson are the Applied Data Science Master's Program, our MBA, our Computer Science Master's. We also have a PhD in Computer Science. And then some of our engineering programs. We're perhaps best known as an engineering university. So you can see civil, where we have a construction engineering management concentration as well, and then electrical, mechanical, and we have chemical, aeronautical. There are lots of other programs, and the full list is available at the link that I've provided there. As I said, one of the most popular programs that we offer right now is the MS in Applied Data Science. So I wanted to just share a little bit about that program. It includes some core courses, as you can see there. Students can select elective courses to focus on areas of their own particular interest. And then in that program, there's a capstone course where you do an applied project working with a company, a nonprofit organization, or a government agency, and gain practical experience. For international students, this is especially important because if you decide to stay and work in the United States after graduation, it's wonderful to have this capstone experience as a reference point and where you can gain personal references for employment. Okay, so the applied data science skill set is really based on some foundational skills and then those more specific professional skills. One thing I wanted to say here is that you do not need to come from a computer science, mathematics, or business background in order to be competent and have the potential to be a great student in applied data science. In fact, the director of this program often says that the main thing is that you should not be afraid of spreadsheets. And if you come from a more humanities background or social science, you can still apply for the data science program. You may need to do some prerequisite coursework, but the prerequisites are offered for free and in online classes you can take before enrolling in person on our campus. So the second program I wanted to profile is the computer science program. And you can see that there are a number of reasons why you might want to study computer science, especially if you come from a computer science background. There are phenomenal career opportunities in software development and data science. And our computer science program is very highly ranked with connections to many companies across the Northeast of the United States. They also, in computer science, have a strong focus in artificial intelligence, which is, of course, a very hot topic right now. For the master's in computer science, we have two options. One is the thesis option, which is more research-based, and as you can see, requires a 10-credit thesis. So 1/3 of the coursework for this master's would be involved in the thesis. Increasingly, students are interested in our other option, which is an MS in computer science without thesis. You end up having more opportunities to take elective courses. And instead of doing a thesis, you do an applied project, more like what I described for the applied data science, where you go into a company, a nonprofit organization, or a government agency. So if I've persuaded you that there are very good reasons to apply to Clarkson University, then what you need to know next are the admission requirements. So we have an application form, and I have included a copy of the what you'll see when you get to the website for setting up your application. The form itself is very simple and just includes basic biographical information. You also provide a statement of purpose, also called an essay, detailing why you want to study at Clarkson in the particular program that you're applying for. Next, you need to provide transcripts of all of your post-secondary education. So your bachelor's degree, any certificates, and if you've already completed a master's degree, we would need those transcripts as well. Everything should be submitted in English. And we can accept copies for the application process. You do not need to get official transcripts for admission consideration. Next, you'll need to provide us with a copy of your CV or resume, as we call it in the US. The resume is a great place to include information that doesn't easily fit elsewhere in your overall application file. So any teaching experience you've had, in addition to other professional experience, all of your education, if you have any publications or you've presented at a conference, the CV or resume is a wonderful place to make sure that our faculty know about that. Next, we require letters of recommendation. Most programs require 3 letters. Those should come from former faculty members or perhaps professional associates who can attest to your academic potential in a graduate program at Clarkson. And finally, test scores. We require English proficiency test scores. I'll give you a little bit more on that later. And many programs do request the GRE or the GMAT for business programs. Currently, we understand that it's difficult to get these exams, but if you're interested in a research program, I would encourage you to try your best. But most programs currently are looking at applications that lack the GRE or GMAT and giving a little bit more flexibility. The application process overall is not just the application form. You need to make sure you upload all the required documents. And as I said, copies are fine for both the transcripts and the test score reports. You need to follow up with your recommenders. Unfortunately, your application is not complete until all of the recommendations have come in. So you may need to remind some of the recommenders who have every good intention to provide a letter, but sometimes don't understand what the deadlines are. And once all of that is in at Clarkson, your application will go forward to a faculty committee that reviews it for admission. And then finally, the hardest part is waiting for the decision, because at that point you have no control anymore and all you can do is wait. In terms of the test scores, I wanted to share what our minimum proficiency requirements are for English. We accept the TOEFL, IELTS, PTE, and Duolingo English test. You may not have heard about the Duolingo test because it is fairly new, but it's inexpensive and it's available online. So if one of those other options is not available to you, I would suggest you look into the Duolingo English test. Just take the practice test because the format is very different from what you might be familiar with from the TOEFL or IELTS. For GRE, we don't have any minimum scores, but the average scores for admitted applicants are 148 verbal and 159 quantitative. For students interested in the MBA, pardon me, there's no minimum score for the GMAT, but if you have a 550 or higher, you are considered for scholarship funding. We don't have formal deadlines. We follow a rolling admission process at Clarkson, but most programs do offer admission for both fall and spring. So right now we are accepting applications for spring 2022 and fall 2022. And lastly, if you are looking at applying for a research-based program and you want to be considered for a teaching or research assistantship, pardon me, I would recommend that you apply by January 15th for the fall and by October 15th for the spring. Now, spring starts in January and fall starts in August, just so you understand how we define such things. The most frequent question we get, sometimes even before our admission standards, is about funding. And most fully funded offers, meaning a tuition waiver plus a stipend, go to PhD students, but some do go to master's students, and these are only available in the research-based programs. The decision is based on the quality of the match between a student's background and what the faculty are looking for. That's why I said to use your resume or CV to strategically include information that faculty might want to know when making decisions about funding. International students are also considered for scholarships. There's no separate application for this. There are also some part-time assistantships, and of course there's on-campus employment, but we don't offer that as part of the admission package. Students can seek on-campus employment after they arrive. Education loans are increasingly popular as a source of funding as well. But at the master's level, the most frequent form of assistance from Clarkson to our students is in the form of partial scholarships. We do not offer full scholarships, aside from the assistantships. So after admission, the next step is for a student to make an enrollment deposit. And at that point, our International Center will work with you to prepare the I-20, which is the document you need in order to get a student visa. You'd also be asked for other information like immunization and health insurance documents at that time. We do require COVID vaccination for study at Clarkson, and that's the same for domestic US students and for our international students. A student at a fair recently asked me what tests we accept for, what vaccinations we accept for COVID, and we prefer the ones that are already approved in the United States, which would be Pfizer, Moderna, and the Johnson & Johnson. To give you an idea of a typical application timeline, students often start 4 or 5 months or more before the start of the semester they plan to enroll. And this just gives you an idea of the different steps along the way. But if you are thinking about applying for spring 2022, it's really not too late. And we can work with you to get an application completed and ready for review. So after students complete their degree, I'm often asked, what do they do next? So students who have a degree in a STEM field are able to stay and work in the United States for up to 3 years. For other disciplines outside STEM, like business, it would be 1 year. And you can work with the university's Career Center to help find employment after you graduate. At Clarkson, the Career Center also organizes employer fairs. We had a big one earlier this week. The employers come to campus to recruit our students in person, and you have an opportunity to meet with the hiring managers and former Clarkson students who now work at various companies. Other services that are offered include practice interviews, resume advice, and other types of guidance on how to find a job or an internship opportunity. Students sometimes want to know where they can work, and on OPT is the name of the visa status that allows you on your F1 student visa to stay and work in the US. You're not restricted by geography. You can work anywhere in the US after you graduate from Clarkson. You can change jobs, you can travel abroad and come back. The only restriction is that you have to work in the field of study that you completed at Clarkson. So if you studied data science, you can't get a job as a violist in an orchestra and do that on your OPT. You would need to be working in the data science field. I just wanted to stop and talk a little bit about the social and political climate in the United States. I know that we make the news for sometimes not the best reasons. I just wanted to remind everybody that the government and official statements are not the same as everyday people, and that most people in the US are very proud of the fact that international students from all over the world want to come here, and that college towns like Potsdam, New York, are very welcoming, especially welcoming. In terms of COVID, as I spoke about just earlier, Clarkson's been very successful in managing COVID. We had an on-campus year last year, and we have one currently this year. We did have a bit of a pivot to online when COVID first hit, but we have been in person since then. And as I said, vaccination is required. So that's the end of my presentation. I know that I bombarded you with a lot of information, which I hope was useful information, but I'm happy to take your questions now. And I see in the question box that there are quite a number of them.
Yes, thank you very much for your great presentation, Colleen. So we can start answering the questions. Our first question is from Julia, and she's asking, do we need to take GRE for all MS programs?
No, as I said, most programs are waiving it for now, and they will review an application that is complete. I would say that you can include a short essay instead of the GRE exam, just detailing how you have the quantitative skills and the verbal skills necessary to complete a master's in the United States. So just instead of uploading the GRE scores, you can upload a short essay.
Mm-hmm. And our next question is from Uluciyar Kansipahi, and do you have chemistry master's program and scholarships for that?
Yes, we have a chemistry master's program for sure. Pardon me. That's one of the programs where most of the funded assistantships would go to the PhD students, but about 20%, like 1 in 5 assistantships go to a master's student. So you would be considered for both partial scholarships and for the funded assistantships in the chemistry department.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your answer. Our next question is from Ejam, and she's asking, is there any application fee? Can we apply to more than one program with one application fee?
Wonderful question. Actually, just recently we decided to waive all application fees. We were trying to think of ways to help students during this difficult time of COVID. So if you get to the end of the application where it says submit, just click submit. You won't be asked for the $50 fee. The other question, I believe, was whether you can apply to more than one program. And it's certainly possible to apply to more than one program. The two that I profiled, computer science and data science, definitely have some overlap. So if you want to see which one is going to admit you and perhaps which one is going to offer a better scholarship situation, you can apply to more than one program.
That's great news. And our next question is from Eda. She's asking, can we get conditional acceptance if we cannot provide English level test?
I'm sorry, but the answer to that is no. One reason is because that's our admission standard, but another reason is because the U.S. State Department will not issue visas to conditionally admitted students. So it's best if you achieve the required score first.
Mm-hmm. And next question is from Hülya, and she's asking, how long does it take to application process? Thank you.
Okay, so once your application is complete, and I mean the form and all of the other documents, there's a portal and you'll see a checklist. So as soon as all of those checklist items are, green check marks, your application will go forward to the admission committee. And once it goes to the committee, it generally takes 2 to 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Some are a little faster, but some take a little longer.
Okay. And the next question is from Faiza, and she's asking, how many credits total approximately during the master programs?
So you, to maintain student visa status, you must be enrolled in at least 9 credits. Graduate students at Clarkson tend to be enrolled in between 9 and 12 credits per semester. But in the residential MBA, our on-campus MBA, is possible to complete in 1 year, and that's 38 credits. It's just very intensive. So the minimum is 9, but students can take more if they feel prepared and their faculty agree.
Mm-hmm. Samra is asking, are we able to work after our graduation? Is there a job placement help for graduates?
Yes. I don't know if I can easily go back in my presentation. I did talk about that a bit. We have an excellent career center, and the career center can help students find employment. We have a 90+% placement rate. So students who want to stay and work in the United States are able to do that. On an F1 student visa after graduation, there's a status called OPT. It stands for Optional Practical Training. And students in STEM fields, science, engineering, math, can stay and work for up to 3 years on their F1 student visa. So I think that answered the question. Was there another part of that question?
Let me check again. No, that was a question.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you for your answer. And our next question is from Barek Sadaku. And do you offer bioengineering PhDs, and do we need to contact potential supervisors before application?
Excellent questions. We offer a PhD in bioscience and biotechnology. So it's an interdisciplinary degree in bioscience and biotech. You do not need to reach out to a potential supervisor in advance. You're welcome to do so, but keep in mind that these faculty members are already teaching and doing research, and they get dozens of requests each week from students looking to work with them, and there's no way for the faculty to know which of these emails are from serious students. So what they do is they look at who takes the time to apply and put together a strong application. So since there's no application fee, I would encourage you to apply. When you do that, I would also say that it's a good idea to look in the biology department's faculty list and click on the different faculty members to see what their research interests are. That way, when you write your statement of purpose, you can mention which faculty members are doing work that aligns really well with your interests and your education up until now.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Our next question is from Muhammed Ekinci, and he's saying that I want to do a master's degree. Do you have psychological counseling or psychology departments?
No, I'm sorry. We don't have programs in those disciplines. We do have 3 health science programs. We have a master's of physician assistant, one for occupational therapy, and a doctorate of physical therapy. But we don't have anything in the psychology or counseling fields.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Our next question is from Beyza Şahin, and she is asking, do you have psychology? It's the same one, I believe.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Okay. What about scholarship chances?
It depends on the field. It depends on the level. I would need more information to say anything meaningful. But scholarships typically, if you're not offered an assistantship, the maximum scholarship is usually around 30% reduction in the cost of tuition. In some programs, it can inch up a little bit more, like 40%, but 30% is what's typical.
Mm-hmm. And our next question is from Eda, and she's asking, is campus in city center? Sorry if I missed. Can we have campus dorm opportunities if it is far away from city center?
So Potsdam is a town. It is not a city. If you're used to living in a big city, this will take a little bit of adjustment. But it's a very lovely environment. And there's no on-campus housing for the postgraduate students, but we do have a housing office that can give you some suggestions. Actually, for international students, the most successful thing that I've seen is for students to reach out either through we have graduate student ambassadors who you can find on our website, and they can give good advice. And also you could reach out to the Graduate Student Association. So those 2 ways of reaching current students are very successful in helping new students find potential roommates and apartments to live in.
Mm-hmm. And our last question is from Ecem, and she's asking, do you offer English prep year or pre-sessional English? Thank you.
We don't offer pre-sessional English. I'm so sorry. We do have some English, we have an English conversation corner if you're interested in improving your fluency and just gaining more practice in speaking English outside of class. Also, all international students, even though they will have provided a test, will take a writing screening test when they arrive on campus. And some students are asked to take an additional English class once they arrive, but there's no charge for that additional English class. It's just designed to make sure that students can be successful in all of their coursework and then in their employment once they graduate.
Okay, thank you for your answers, Colleen. And we have another question from Mubarak. And do you waive language for English-speaking countries like British colonies, Ghana, or South Africa?
We do not waive at the graduate level. One reason is because so many of our students, either from the beginning or later, once they get to campus, become teaching or research assistants. Pardon me. So we do require English proficiency testing. There's a small list of countries we would waive from: UK, Ireland, Canada, Australia, places like that. We would not waive for Ghana or South Africa.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was our last question. So we can give a couple of minutes to the participants that you can put your new questions in the question sections. By the way, while we wait some questions to pop up, could you also please your email in the chat box, Colleen, so that the participants can directly copy and paste it?
Okay, yep, sure. Pardon me while I find where I'm supposed to type it. Let me make sure it's properly written. Yes. Okay. When I'm doing one of these sessions and trying to type at the same time, I'm never confident that I got it right. But that is my email. We try to answer every email the day it comes in. If not that day, then the next day. There are certain times of year where we get a high volume of emailed questions. But I would also welcome you to come to our website and either chat to one of our graduate ambassadors or to fill out our request for more information form so that we can start to send you relevant and helpful information about the program of study and about our application process. So that would be, some of those emails are prepared in advance, but if you email me directly, I will answer your questions myself specifically. They won't be sort of pre-written answers.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. And
you can ask me anything about Clarkson, about the different departments, pardon me, about, I don't know, about living in Potsdam. As I said, if you're interested in a research program, you're perfectly welcome to write to the faculty members. But if you wouldn't mind, write to me as well so that I can make sure that you get an answer in a timely way and that you're not waiting for an answer that may take a long time. As I said, in the admissions office, we answer pretty quickly and try to get back to people because we know as soon as you finish typing that email, you want an answer like right now, not 3 days from now. So.
Yes, so we have a new question, and Furkan is asking, do you support engineering students on their global competitions?
I'm not sure what you mean by support them. Of course, the faculty would assist the students with the competitions. I'm not sure if there would be special funding available to send students to competitions abroad. I know that within the United States, we have a number of students who participate in conferences and competitions as part of an initiative of the university, and there is support and funding for that. So if you had a paper or a poster accepted for a conference, you could apply to the graduate school to get funding to be able to actually attend the conference.
Okay.
I think that answers the question. I hope so.
If doesn't, please ask more specifically. And our another question is from Mustafa Gültaş, and he's asking, could you give information about master program for computer engineering?
Well, we have a master. Was the question specifically masters? So we have a master's in computer science, and then we have a master's in electrical and computer engineering. So it would be certainly up to the student to look at the two different programs and see which one is the better fit based on your interest and your background. But you could apply to either, or you could apply to both. And there would be consideration for partial scholarships. And if you're a good fit for an assistantship, you might be offered an assistantship. I hope that answers the question.
Yes. Okay. I think that's it. So maybe we can give a couple of minutes too while we wait. Maybe you can tell us about like the campus clean. I know you have mentioned that you are back to face-to-face education.
Yes.
But like, do we have to get the 2 doses of vaccination, and do we have to use masks, or is it voluntary?
I think masks are required. I actually work at our branch campus in Schenectady, And in all public spaces, we are wearing masks because not everyone is vaccinated. We're at about 98% vaccination rate, but there are some people who, for one reason or another, cannot be vaccinated. And out of concern for our community as a whole, we do wear masks in class and in the hallways. We did have some students arrive this fall, which just started, who were not able to be fully vaccinated before they reached the United States, but we were able to help them arrange for vaccination once they reached here, and now they're completely vaccinated. So that's also an option for people who haven't been able to access a vaccine up until now. One thing I would say about our campus that I really appreciate, the main campus in Potsdam, is that the academic buildings, pardon me, are all linked by walkways. And so once you reach the campus, especially in the winter when the weather's cold, you don't have to go outside again. You can link between the buildings without having to exit. And so it makes it easier during the day to just set your coat down somewhere, and then you don't have to drag it around with you everywhere you go. And that's one of the things I really like about how Clarkson has adapted to the climate that we're in.
Mm-hmm. And we have another question from Mubarak. And if I may ask, do the faculty members collaborate with other universities for PhD programs?
You can have an external member on your PhD committee from another university. Many of our faculty in their research funding have partnered with faculty at other universities. So one of our faculty members just told me the other day that he had a new assistantship he was trying to recruit for because he had been funded, I think, by the National Science Foundation, and the partner faculty member was at another university. One thing I'll say also is that Clarkson is on the small side for research universities. And one of the wonderful aspects of that is that it means our faculties work very closely across disciplinary lines. So chemistry and chemical engineering may work closely based on a project or a research question, or mechanical and electrical engineering. The faculty are not in these kind of rigid silos or verticals. They really collaborate a lot, and it makes it better for the students because you're able to go across disciplines to get to answer the questions you want to answer in your research, or to learn about what you want in your professional degree.
And our next question is from Mubarak. And can one apply to Clarkson University for a PhD even when having not completed his or her master's thesis?
Well, some departments will allow direct admission from a completed bachelor's to a PhD, but some departments do not. So you really need to look at the program page on our website to determine whether you can apply from bachelor's directly to PhD. So in electrical engineering, for example, they only accept people who already have a master's to start a PhD. But if you're interested in electrical engineering and you have only a bachelor's, you can apply for the master's. And most programs have a process by which students, master's students, can internally apply for the PhD without having to do a full application. And then the students who the faculty believe have the requisite background and potential are just shifted to the PhD program, and they don't actually have to finish the master's first.
All right, it looks like we covered all of the questions, Colleen.
My pleasure to do it. I'm thrilled to get so many wonderful questions. And just to remind you that there is there's an application fee waiver for everyone. Just fill out the application and click submit at the end, and you will not be asked for the $50.
Yeah, that's really good news. Okay, so I would like to thank you for your great presentation, Colleen. We had a lot of questions and you covered them all. Thank you for your answers too.
It's my pleasure.
We believe it was a really informative webinar for the attendees. And I would like to thank them in Turkish too. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Clarkson University ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için yine chat kısmında paylaşılmış olan mail adresinden ulaşabilirsiniz. Umarız sizin için de faydalı bir webinar olmuştur. Bugünlük bu kadar. Yarınki webinarlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Herkese iyi akşamlar dileriz. Thank you very much again, Colleen. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
My pleasure to be with you. Take care, everybody. Be safe.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.